I totally agree with that, and I see why the Danes would be considered some of the happiest people on earth. But partly, I also think that it's a bit of a bullshit. Guess who's back in Copenhagen? I am back. I'm back home in Copenhagen. I honestly cannot believe it. I'm gonna put my glasses on that give absolutely no sun protection, but they make the outfit. I am back in Denmark after 6 months, more than half a year, maybe even 7 months, I don't know. So I've been basically traveling non-stop for the past 6 months, which is absolutely crazy. It was not part of the plan. I started in December in Oman, then I was supposed to go to Africa. I did go to Africa, then I was supposed to spend like 1 month in Asia and go back. But I ended up just staying and traveling for over half a year, which I never even imagined I would do. Anyways. Now it's finito, and now we are back home in Copenhagen, and I'm actually so happy to be back. So today we will be hanging out around Copenhagen. I'm gonna take these glasses off because they're a little silly. I'm gonna show you some really cool spots in Copenhagen, and I will start the day with a breakfast in one of the most these glasses, they're trouble. In one of the most iconic breakfast spots that this city has ever seen. So we're not doing that because there is a line and I don't want to wait in a line. But if you're looking for a nice breakfast spot, this is definitely one. I'm gonna head over to a different place that I also have in mind that also has really nice breakfast items. Oh, and also, by the way, this is a pretty well-known restaurant that I haven't tried yet, so I cannot tell you if it's good or not, but it's really popular on Instagram. And in case you haven't watched my other videos and you are confused about like my attachment to Denmark, I am not Danish, I am Polish, but I grew up here. I moved to Denmark when I was 12 years old, and I lived in Denmark for more than 10 years. I don't know, because I used to move a lot. After I graduated high school, I did go to primary school and high school here in Denmark, and I still come back a lot because my family lives here. So Denmark still feels like family home to me, even though I don't consider myself Danish, like nationality-wise. I do consider Denmark my home, and I kind of do feel like part of this society here. I don't know. I know it can be like a little difficult for some people to understand, but anyways, what I wanted to say is that me being happy about being back home in Denmark kind of inspired me to talk about a topic that I wanted to talk about on my channel for a long time. As you might know, Denmark is considered one of the happiest countries on earth. In all these rankings, Denmark always ranks really high up. Sometimes it ranks as #1. And that's something I always really wanted to talk about on my channel, because partly I totally agree with that, and I see why Danes would be considered some of the happiest people on earth. But partly I also think that it's a bit of a bullshit. And in case you didn't know, Denmark is a kingdom, which means that we do have a royal family here. And the reason why I'm mentioning it, I feel like I'm mentioning it every time I'm passing by the palace. This is the palace. Yeah, and you can just walk next to it. Why is everyone following them? That's kind of weird. Can you see? Oh, so we got a little bit of action there. The action is still happening, but I need to go because we're heading to a place that I'm very excited about. I'm so excited about that place that even if there's a line, I will stand in that line. One thing that I must really admit is that when you're here during summer and the weather is like this, it just always makes me think one thing: why don't I live here? Like, Copenhagen is truly, I mean, such a great city, and you have water, and like architecture is beautiful. And it's so funny to think that when I was younger, all I wanted was to leave, to find a way to leave, and I still don't think it's a place for me, at least not right now. I'm not saying it won't be in the future, who knows? Who the F knows what the future brings? So we're heading somewhere over there, and since there's no bridge here, I need to get on this bridge. But I do have time, so that's what I'm gonna do. Chillaxing session by the water done. I definitely very highly recommend that place. I couldn't film much in there obviously because people are like in their bathing suits, right? But it was very nice. The pastry was so good, but that's the thing about Denmark. Pastry in Denmark is just very good. One piece of advice that I can give you if you come to Denmark, do eat pastry. Like, eat pastry everywhere. The best thing about summer in Copenhagen is that it really just like brings out the best in people. People are actually really happy here during the summer when this weather is finally good, when the sun comes out. And that's because, well, summer is not very long, so everyone knows that they have to enjoy it while it lasts. So that's why during the summer you'll find people basically enjoying life everywhere in Copenhagen, wherever you can. You know, swimming in the water, having picnics, hanging out with friends. I think Danes are quite good at enjoying small moments, like really celebrating small things like nice weather, hanging out with friends. The plan for right now is dinner, or early dinner, with a friend on the other side of town, basically. I mean, not really on the other side of town. Copenhagen is not a big city, I must say. I mean, the population is about 1.5 million with suburbs. So the downtown area, like, you can easily walk through it. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk over, which will take me about an hour, probably less than an hour. The area where I'm walking right now is called Christianshavn, and it's definitely an area that you cannot miss if you come to Copenhagen, because as you can see, there are canals here. Canals. Like, for some reason, this word I just cannot pronounce in English. Anyways, there are boats, water. There's a lot of water and a lot of boats here in Copenhagen. Copenhagen is located on an island, and there's just like, yeah, a lot of water in the city, which makes it great. Also, water in Copenhagen is actually very clean. So it is clean enough to swim in it, so you can swim. Okay, I feel like I finally found a cute, quiet spot for a chat. Because we need to chat, because I promised you that I will tell you why I think that this whole thing about Denmark being the happiest country on earth, or one of the happiest countries on earth, is a bit of a bullshit. So I've been actually meaning to make a video. Let me put you up here. I've been meaning to make a video about this topic for like literally years now. I'm not exaggerating, because I do think that this is a very interesting topic. However, I am a little bit afraid of people coming after me or misunderstanding what I'm trying to say. In general, I do think that Denmark is a pretty happy country. It's a great place to live. It's a small, relatively wealthy country with very high social security, meaning free education, free healthcare, but free. Okay, it's not actually free. Something that I always feel like is really important to mention is that it's not like Danish government has like a chunk of money and just like gives it out to citizens, right? No, I mean, these things are free in Denmark because people pay very high taxes. So someone is paying for it. People pay taxes, and that's why education, healthcare is free for everyone. And that's why I think Denmark is a very comfortable place to live, because when you live here and you pay taxes, you know that if something goes wrong, the country government will help you. If you lose your job, if you get sick, if you have kids, you know that your kids will get decent education. And that whole security aspect is something that of course gives people a lot of comfort, a lot of peace, and they don't have to worry about all these things, right? So they can just live their life and be happy. Also, as I said before, I do feel like Danish culture, Danes are very good at celebrating small things in life and truly like enjoying small things. But the problem that I see with all these happiness rankings, and I guess the problem is not only Denmark, right? The problem is that people sometimes take it like too like literally. Like people think that if Denmark is ranked as one of the happiest countries on earth, it means that there is no problems here. It happened to me quite a few times actually, that when I would tell someone that I grew up in Denmark, people would ask me like, oh, what was it like growing up in the happiest country on earth? You must have no issues with bullying or like discrimination, and that is certainly not the case. Obviously, there's also bullying happening here, or discrimination. The problem, I think, is that some people tend to think that Denmark, and not only Denmark, like Scandinavian countries, Nordic countries in general, are almost like this like perfect land where there is no issues and people are just being, you know, happy all the time. And it's certainly not the case. I also do think that people here are really good at marketing, and during the last couple of years, a lot of people use that fact that Denmark is ranked so high up in these happiness rankings to almost like market their products, right, or books or whatever. Another thing that I think is interesting to mention is the fact that a part of Danish culture is almost being taught from a very young age to be proud of living here, of being a Dane and living in Denmark, and proud and happy about it. So I almost feel like it lies in like the culture, in the way kids are brought up, being told, maybe that's the wrong way to saying, being taught to be happy about where you're living. And that's why a lot of people asked about whether they're happy to be here, to live here, they will answer yes, because that's what they've been taught from a young age. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm like really nervous to talk about it, because I know some people like will definitely misunderstand me, and yeah, whatever. But I hope you find it interesting. I think the way I look at it is also very different as someone who has grew up in Denmark but is not Danish. I think, as I said, Denmark is a great place to live, but it's not necessarily the easiest place to live if you're not from here. There are of course many other things that you can discuss when it comes to happiness in Denmark. For example, the fact that it's a very safe country, well, relatively safe country, where kids can bike to school by themselves, or you can take public transportation at night and you will most likely be fine. Or the fact that Danish currency krone is a very strong currency, so many Danes can afford to travel, because as soon as you leave Denmark you can sort of buy way more than you can here. But funny story, or funny, depends how you define funny. I'm following this influencer who came to Copenhagen a while back, and she was filming bikes and saying that apparently Copenhagen is so safe that people don't even lock their bikes here, which is absolutely not true. People do lock their bikes, but majority of people have these locks that are quite small, not like these, like, you know, old-fashioned big locks that you see right away. So maybe she just like she probably just didn't know that. If you leave your bike unlocked here, you will most likely lose it. I mean, it will most likely get stolen very fast. So, you know, what I'm trying to say is that some people also do exaggerate a little. It's not like it's some sort of like perfect land where nothing ever happens, where nothing ever gets stolen, for example. I put you up here for a second because I am sweating from all that walking I've been doing. But you know, it's a good day if you're sweating in Denmark, because it doesn't happen that often here. One thing that I love about being back in Copenhagen is getting all the inspiration. I honestly do think that nowadays Copenhagen for me is one of the most inspiring cities on earth. It's in my top 3, together with Tokyo, Copenhagen, and what's third? I actually don't know. Anyways, I feel like fashion in Copenhagen, especially in recent years, has been so good. There's so many well-dressed people here, and I think girls in Copenhagen really have the coolest sense of style. And nowadays it's very different to what it used to be back in the days when I was younger and I went to high school. Back then we used to wear, well, a lot of black, mainly a lot of black, and now the fashion here is very colorful, it's very bold and fun, and it really speaks to me so much more than fashion in cities that are like traditionally known for fashion, like Milan or Paris.